It's one thing after another. Kyrie Irving's season is done. Kyrie tore his ACL last night in the game against the Sacramento Kings, and I don't even know what to say at this point. It is absolute worst case scenario for the Dallas Mavericks, who have just had hit after hit after hit after hit since February 1st. This just being the latest blow to the Mavericks franchise, where this is a franchise-altering injury, make no mistake about it, because now the future is certainly uncertain with the Kyrie-Anthony Davis duo that the Mavericks entrusted to try to get them their second title in franchise history. Before we get into the rest of today's show Kyrie some love down in the comments and type those 11s. I do feel horrible for Kyrie Irving because he was the voice of reason throughout everything during this tumultuous time within the Mavericks fan base, within the Mavericks organization. And Kyrie has been nothing but a complete model citizen since he has been with the Dallas Mavericks, since they traded for him in February of 2023. I feel awful for him. And like I said, the hits just keep coming for the Dallas Mavericks. All they do, day after day, it's Luka gets traded. It's they're raising season ticket prices. It's this, it's that. And now the season where the Mavericks looked like they still were going to have some shot at the playoff, I think it's over, personally. They sit 3.5 games ahead of the Phoenix Suns for the 10th seed. I would be shocked if the Mavericks made the play-in at this point. And when you take a look at the long-term future of what this Kyrie Irving torn ACL means for the Mavericks, I'm really not sure, because, look, Kyrie has a player option for this season. Is the torn ACL going to recover for him in time to start next year? That would be 7 months. I'd be very surprised if Kyrie Irving was healthy to start next season. Hell, I'd be surprised if Kyrie was back by Christmas. So my guess is he's going to opt into his contract, and it certainly leads the Mavs into a time of uncertainty. And I do feel awful for Kyrie. He's been absolutely hooping for this Mavericks team in 50 games this year, averaged 24.7 points, 4.8 boards, 4.5 assists, 47.3 from the field, and 40 from three. And that doesn't include Kyrie leading the NBA in minutes since the Luka Doncic trade at just shy of 40 minutes per night. And like I said, I think the Mavericks would consider themselves lucky to have Kyrie back by Christmas. He's going to opt into the final year of his contract while he rehabs. And if he's back by December 25th, I think that would be a huge win for the Dallas Mavericks franchise. Then you can maybe finally see that Kyrie, Klay Thompson, Anthony Davis vaunted trio that Mavs GM Nico Harrison so desperately wanted to pair together. That's what happens when you put all your eggs into one basket. How about you don't make the guy play 40 minutes a game by not trading the best ball handler in the NBA? That's a start. I do believe that a reason Kyrie ended up with this serious injury is because of the workload that he had to put on himself over the last month or so. I do believe that the on-court responsibilities that he had were unfair to a guy of Kyrie Irving's status in the NBA as a 30-year-old plus guy who's having to play 40 minutes a night. I don't think that was fair to him, and I'm just ready to end this season. I'm ready to tank. I'm ready to lose out. I'm ready to look ahead to next season. I'm ready to look ahead to the draft. I don't think the Mavs are doing much in free agency unless they end up trading for Kevin Durant. Who knows if that happens, but what I do know is I am ready to see out these final 20 or so games and just end this misery. We'll get to the rest of today's show here in just a sec, but I do need to tell you guys about the sponsor of today's show, which of course is PrizePicks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. PrizePicks has over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, making daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. March is a huge month for basketball, and make sure you get in on the real money action with our friends at PrizePicks in over 30 states, including California, Georgia, Florida, and, of course, Texas. They put their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. And when your picks hit, you can get your money in as quick as 15 minutes. And they also have something called the Flex Play, which means even if one of your picks doesn't hit, you can still win some money. So get started today. It is super easy. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use code CLNS to get a $50 bonus when you play your first $5 lineup. You don't even need to win to receive that bonus. It is guaranteed. Again, download the app, use code CLNS to get a $50 bonus when you play your first $5 lineup. That link will be clickable in the comments and the description of today's show. It is Prize Picks. Run your game. This all has happened since Saturday. Quentin Grimes scored 44 for the Philadelphia 76ers. Jason Kidd throws Clay under the bus, saying he wasn't in there in clutch time because the team needed to get stops. Kai Jones signs. The Mavericks said that Luka didn't add to the culture. Kai Jones had a public crash out on Twitter and requested a trade after looking like he was on hard drugs. Luka and the Lakers, sort of the 2 seed. They're absolutely balling right now. PJ Washington re-aggravates his ankle injury because he came back too soon, trying to help out the team. The Mavericks announced they were raising season ticket prices 8%. On the day Kyrie tore his ACL, and then Jaden Hardy, by the way, who we didn't even mention because it's irrelevant in the grand scheme of things, he also injured his ankle last night and is going to be out for the foreseeable future. Basically, if it can go wrong, it will go wrong. Every single thing in this season has gone wrong for the Dallas Mavericks. I wouldn't say every single thing. Every single thing since February 1st has gone wrong for the Mavericks. And it is just hard to believe where this team is. They used to be a best-in-class organization where they knew how to treat people, they knew how to treat their players, they knew how to treat their fans. And now the Mavericks are the absolute laughingstock of the NBA. And it's all at the hands of Nico Harrison. And what can I say? This is what happens when you put all your eggs into one basket and you shorten your competitive window from 10 years to 2. Now that window is going to be less than a season because you're not even going to have Kyrie back for the start of next season. If you even have him back at all, he may opt out and choose to rehab on his own, and you may not even have Kyrie Irving next year. So who knows what the future entails for this team, but what I do know is the future was put in immediate jeopardy by that bum who calls himself the GM of the Mavericks. And if I'm the Mavericks now, there is no reason to rush Anthony Davis, Daniel Gafford, or Derek Lively back whatsoever. Make sure these guys are fully healthy going into next season so the Mavs can hit the ground running with some sort of groundwork laid to have a foundation for next year's team. Even without Kyrie Irving, having these 3 guys at big is still a really good rotation, and the Mavs could do some damage with these guys healthy, playing their full allotment of minutes on the roster. So no need to rush these guys back. I know their reevaluation date is Thursday. I would not play any of these guys the rest of the season unless they are 105% ready to go. And now, since the Mavs season is over and I expect them to lose the vast majority of their games the rest of the year, we got to start looking at the draft. It is unbelievable that we're talking about this. And believe it or not, the Mavericks do have their own pick this year. Here are just a few names to watch. I didn't include Cooper Flagg on this list because if you know anything about the Mavericks, in their 45-year history of being an NBA franchise, the Mavericks have moved up in the lottery 0 times. The Mavericks will not get Cooper Flagg if history tells you absolutely anything. But here are some names to watch in the lottery that I think would be good for the Mavericks. VJ Edgecombe out of Baylor. He's a really good 2-3 wing type who can score. Trey Johnson, one of the best scorers that I've seen at the college level. He's the best player that the Longhorns have had since Kevin Durant. Too bad Texas isn't going to make the tournament this year. Con Kneppel, who is Cooper Flagg's teammate there at Duke, a really solid player. Liam McNeely of UConn, and Jeremiah Fears is a solid point guard. And if the Mavericks don't want to bring Kyrie Irving back, if Kyrie opts out, or they feel like they need a point guard, I think Jeremiah Fears could certainly be an option for the Mavericks going forward. And as I said earlier, this is all at the hands of one man. You know who that one man is. He is the one that wanted to put the eggs into the Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis basket. He is the one that said, time will tell if I'm right about the trade. He is the one that gaslighted all of the Mavericks fans into saying he thinks he knows more basketball than everybody else. I think time is told, Nico. I think time is told. I want to ask you this before we get on out of here. It's been a hell of a month for the Dallas Mavericks. Are you still a Mavs fan? Type Y for yes or type N for no. If I see N for no's in the chat, I would not be shocked whatsoever. And you know what? I'm not there because unfortunately I am a Mavs fan for life, and I'm still going to root for this team through thick and thin. But if people were jumping ship now, I said this right after the trade, and I'll say it again. I would not blame you whatsoever This is the worst stretch, I think, in sports history that I can remember for any franchise. And if you chose to jump ship now, I wouldn't blame you whatsoever. That is going to do it for today's show. It's a rough one out here, man, but please be sure to hit that subscribe button. It's youtube.com/MavsTV. We're going to have you covered through the good, through the bad, through the ugly, all throughout the rest of the season and the offseason. And it now turns in to a very interesting offseason for the Dallas Mavericks. So like I said, hit that sub button, and we'll see you soon here on the channel.